Greetings and God bless. So I just stumbled across some information. So we know today, so the FAA has been trying to work with telecom like AT&T and Verizon about the new technological rollout, of which, even though it's in the news, there's newspapers reporting on it. I am not allowed to say the terminology on YouTube. But anyways, today, the 19th of January, was the scheduled activation. And I can't quite get it clear, like if this new cell phone frequency, cell tower frequency is supposed to be at 2660 terahertz, something like that. And so we know that governments do certain experiments, and it was using a C130, and they were doing what's called electromagnetic augmenting of the brain, mental states. This is an extension, this is an application, a direct or mental application of what was being, like, it probably started in the Nazi era, and then in the United States under MK Ultra, and then it was implemented. So what happened was that there was a minor conflict that was going on in Rwanda between the Hutu and the Tutsis, and so the two groups were reasonably, they were stimulated, they were in an emotionally aroused state. And not only that, they were armed. And the US government set the stage, set them up, and then using this C13, which provides precise control of brainwaves. So they use that C13 in the brainwave activation of rage. So they were using their device to cause these two opposing groups who were already in a bit of an emotional arousal, who had weapons. They basically zapped them with a rage wavelength, and which then caused a behavioral, physiological, mental change, and ended up in the slaughter that we know of the Rwandan genocide. Now, there's more to this. Stick with me. I'm just going to read this quote. One of the leading lights in this field is Dr. Elizabeth Rauscher-Bise, and it's in the description of this video. And she's a researcher at Lawrence Berkeley National Lab, and she identified, and she's got all sorts of qualifications. She's identified specific frequency effects that can induce different responses, different reactions, like nausea, happiness, and other behavioral states. She said, "Give me the money and 3 months, and I'll be able to affect the behavior of 80% of the people in this town without them knowing it. Make them happy, or at least they'll think they're happy." Now, does this make you think, does that remind you of anything that let's say, Klaus Schwab at the World Economic Forum, that commercial where they're saying you'll own nothing and you'll be happy? They're going to zap us to force a mentally augmented, electromagnetically augmented mental state. So today is the new implementation of a certain electromagnetic device, and I think that the CIA were practicing this on other countries, and one of the most atrocious examples was Rwanda. But who knows? Who knows if it was used in the Balkans? Who knows if it was used in events that haven't even made it to the news, because the news is controlled. So I just think this is just it's important for us to have the Wi-Fi off. Turn off the Wi-Fi on your devices. Um, have your device off when you're going to sleep. Use wired, and I know it's a big pain to have everything wired, but use a wired keyboard, use a wired mouse. Um, it's important to like being a Luddite, being wired is just healthier for your physiology. And there's certain foods that you can eat, like propolis. Bee propolis is it's somehow it's protective of from like it protects the body from EMFs. Rosemary, fresh rosemary, the herb is also protective. There's different devices that I'm not entirely confident recommending, but more important, to ground yourself, whether if you can barefoot outside, if you have a yard, be connected to the earth. I also have heard that washing our hands is grounding. So I'll leave it at that, but I wonder, because like of what's been the manipulation that's been going on in our country the past couple of years, that I'm just reading right now that Rwanda, that a certain type of brain manipulation was used directly on people who are already in an aroused state, and that these people were manipulated. And we have experts saying that they can willfully manipulate people however they want, and that we have a major electromagnetic technology rollout that supposedly was activated today, and that the FAA, the Federal Aviation Association, was concerned about this new rollout because they were concerned that it might interfere with airplane takeoffs and landing, which could be dangerous. Not that the government cares about human lives. They want human lives to die. They just don't want them to die in the way that they haven't made it a deliberate human sacrifice, to cause as much suffering as possible. So anyways, I was kind of paying attention to the media today to see if there was anything going on about that new rollout. I haven't seen anything drastic just today, but I think we need to be careful. Like this is war. We're in a war, and the trusted agents of the public good are not our friends. They're not our allies. And there's people who think, "Oh, there's good people. There's good people." Blah blah blah. I really. Wow, there's good people, and look where that got us, here. Like, and I don't know. I mean, maybe we are supposed to trust the people who are compliant and sold us down the river, I guess, till the bitter end. I mean, because that's all we got. That's all that's happening. There's like maybe 10 activists in the United States that are making waves, and everybody else is just hunkering down and just being as comfortable as possible. And I'm not exactly sure what to do. And I just feel like is it like historically, what did people do? And the thing is, history has been manipulated, so it's hard to trust history. But I do think it's important for people to find like-minded people. If you're a vegan, interact with other vegans. If you're paleo, find your paleo friends. I think we need, more important than anything, we need community. And the globalists destroyed that by telling everybody to stay away from everybody, telling everybody to, be worried about fake crises. But anyways, ignore that globalist lie, And if you're vegan, hang out with your vegan friends. If you're paleo, hang out with your paleo friends. Everybody just, if you get along with your family, connect. We need to, find our people who we can relate to and have similar values. And I think we need to be kind of aware, like that they have behavior modification technology. And the thing is, they've had this for a while. I'm sure they've been manipulating people. I mean, I think that I can't remember if it was like, I don't know what rolled out, because I remember 2000 was when Y2K was supposed to happen, and people were talking about it like the year prior. Prince had a song, "We're Gonna Party Like It's 1999," and so there's like hype, but I was too preoccupied with just surviving that it just was like, well, if it's the end of the world, I can't be bothered because I just gotta go to work and I gotta get some rest. But I lost my chain of thought. So in 2000, after 2000, I noticed like a cognitive decline. I noticed that I didn't have the ability to focus and concentrate as much as I had in times past. And I don't know if there was new electrical, new satellite, new whatever, or if new fragrances, new chemicals, new pesticides being sprayed. Because I noticed like whenever there was a large kind of implementation of a pesticide or whatever, like I'm like, oh, that may be some childhood assault that I experienced. So yeah, there's so many ways that the globalists are trying to harm us, trying to obstruct our basic life and living. And I don't know if the answer is writing a lot of letters, thousands of people to write a letter, shaming them, like protesting outside their house, educating other people. I don't know if those things help. But I do know for sure that we fight not flesh and blood, but principalities. Because what evil people would set two groups of people against each other with weapons and then swoop down using a technology to make them genocidal maniacs? Folks, we fight not flesh and blood, but principalities. This is not just some namby-pamby globalist, one Dr. Evil or whatever. This is a satanic, Luciferian, demonic, evil group of people that have come to power, and that a lot of people are just enchanted by, or a lot of people are just so conformist and obedient that they will follow evil Satanists at their peril and at the peril of their children. And it's like so surreal that this is happening. It's so surreal to be in this situation. It's so surreal to be like one of a handful of people that sees what's going on, and that is concerned about it, that speaks up about it. I mean, I know people who are, concerned about like a Sunday dinner or something, or a, farmer's market or something like that. Like, people really are putting their effort into children and your parents and your grandparents. I mean, like, and I guess that's one of the casualties of being kind of like a big vision kind of thinker. Not that I'm, great at other things, but I'm able to see sometimes like the big picture, and sometimes I miss the obvious point too of some things. But with the current situation, there's just so many problems going on. I just don't know how long we can take it. I mean, if the United States government has the technology, they've used the technology to get two opposing groups to literally kill each other, massacre each other, and that technology could be what's installed, that was installed the spring of 2020. Like the Bible, there's a quote in the Bible about what appears to me zombies. Have there's a I'm gonna see if I can find it. There's a quote about people wishing they could die, and not only that wishing they could die, but that they're eating their loved ones. So some people on the internet are concerned. They're suggesting that. Of course, I can't find. Some people are concerned that the the ingredients of a certain medical application, that these nanoparticles will take over somebody's biology. And so these ingredients that take over somebody's biology then can be activated by powerful electromagnetic fields. So folks are saying that since this technology exists, and as we read in this information about Operation Crimson Mist, that people were to murder each other in Rwanda by creating an emotional mindset, making sure they had weapons, and then using a device that altered people's minds. I mean, what's to say they won't do that here, since we know that the United States government has often, regularly experimented and caused decades of suffering for people. There's documented confirmation of this, and there's also a lot of us know this to be the case, even though there isn't a book written about it. And in Jeremiah 19:19, there's this verse, and I will cause them to eat the flesh of their sons and the flesh of their daughters, and they shall every one the flesh of his friend in the siege and straitness, wherewith their enemies and they that seek their lives shall straiten them. So I'm not sure what straighten means, but sounds like zombies to me. I mean, it could be just mere cannibalism out of starvation due to food shortages. But it sounds, I don't know, it sounds a little bit more, it doesn't sound like cannibalism, like out of a famine. It sounds like people are attacking other people and consuming them. And that is, like some cultures, some cultures believe in eating their enemies as a way of taking power from that. And I would say that's probably a demonic kind of thing. Like if you're getting power from eating the biomass of your enemy, I doubt that really could give you power. But the demonic ritual of consuming your species, that is very evil. That is not something that in a civilization, in a highly advanced civilization, that's not something that you would do. And I know the globalists, the parasites that they get called the elites. They're the dregs of existence. They're the worst of all creation, because what they are eating humans and torturing humans, and children. and violating them and doing so gleefully. Like they regard that all as normal and necessary and part of their religion, part of their right. Speaking of which, like last month, the Church of Satan said that they want to be allowed to kill babies because that's their religion. And this was just taken for granted. Like this was not, there wasn't a big uproar. I don't think my progressive liberal friends and family think anything of the killing of a baby. Because if a Satanist needs to kill a baby for their ritual, well, then let's kill that baby. It's this incredible double standard that progressive liberals have. They are against segregation. They're against bigotry. But these same progressive liberals want to practice bigotry and segregation, actual racism, because when somebody is not genetically modified, because that injection is a genetic modification device. So hence, when 1% of your genetics are altered, you are a different species. So the bigotry that the genetically modified person, the person who's being a bigot, because now they're genetically modified and they're a bigot to those who are organic, that's a speciesism, racism, bigotry. But that progressive liberal who's genetically modified doesn't want, wants to make sure that people can wear their traditional garb, in the military, when they're flying a pirate jet. Yeah, like how's that work? I mean, and I guess but hypocrisy, this double standard, that genetically modified progressive liberal gets to be a bigot. They get to be racist. They get to be speciesist against the person who has remained organic, who's perfect in pedigree, in their biology, in their agreement with God. Now, I do not know for sure if the genetic modification injection, I do not know if that is the complete mark of the beast. Somebody was saying how, so, we are body, mind, and spirit, right? So the mark of the beast, or the injection, has luciferase in it. Like I think the patent for it might have 666 in it. So it's definitely inadvisable. I mean, even if you're not a believer in Lord Jesus Christ, even if you don't even believe in God, I think it's pretty obvious you like just something labeled with luciferase in it, 666, and all this current controversy. I am confident that there's some atheists and agnostics out there who are like, this seems creepy. Like this seems like paranormal, supernatural, like bad news. Like you would have if you were a complete atheist entering into, some weird paranormal ritual or something. Like this is like, it gives you a creepy feeling, even if you're not a Bible thumper like myself. So I don't know for sure if the genetic modification is the mark of the beast, but I think it does kind of compromise the body, the body, mind, spirit, 666. So I think the first one's down when you take the genetic modification, when you lose your perfection in pedigree, because we are perfect in pedigree as descendants from Adam and Eve, as descendants, and so in the spirit, so our heart and our spirit, like body, mind, spirit. So so I think our heart is connected to our mind. I'm not exactly sure, but so I think like we have to guard our body, mind, spirit. And so I think the first boundary is remaining perfect in pedigree. And if you have taken the genetic modification, I would do everything you can, take binders, take whatever reasonable cleansing protocols that you can do, and without infecting other people. That's the thing. This is nanotechnology. If you're shedding all over the place, if you like, don't go to the sauna. Don't shed the nanoparticles all over the sauna, or don't go in a pool. If you're shedding nanotechnology, don't go into a pool. So everybody else who's in that pool or in that sauna is getting the horrible shedding from your choices. Like, I know so many people now who are getting sick when being around the injected. And I suspect that I have, had a reaction. I've had an allergic. It took a couple days to get over it, but it was a significant like histamine reaction or mast cell activation from being around people. And the thing is, it's nanotech that they're shedding, and they could be shedding other things because the triggering that is done by these injections might trigger their latent mycoplasma or Lyme disease or plague or whatever. I mean, a lot of people have low-grade infections, and that's why I'm so adamant about informed consent and things like this, is because well before this crisis, doctors weren't doing anything about low-grade infections. They were gaslighting their patients, and now it's just so much worse because doctors are just looking to make, how can I make an extra 40,000, 250,000? Who cares if the patient lives or dies? Because this is what doctors and hospitals and nursing homes have been doing. They are if there's a profit to be made by the termination of an individual, they're making it. And they do this with organ harvesting. If a young person ends up in the hospital, and there's like 11 people waiting for organs, and we got this fresh organ transplant donor potential, they're not gonna try to save that person. They're gonna make millions of dollars, And yes, I know that sometimes they let people live, and they also don't tell you when they've killed people. They don't tell you when just think of anything. I can't even imagine all the crimes against humanity that doctors and nursing homes do. And the thing is, they're the nicest people. Sometimes they seem all very nice, but people are addicted to that paycheck, and they'll do anything for that paycheck. That's just the way it is, because we're in a diabolical paradigm. We're in this evil world, and it's obvious. And people, I guess, will try to cover up. They're trying to pretend, and how we know this is an evil world filled with pathetic, spineless wimps is because nobody's standing up for themselves, for the children who are being suffocated, for the elderly that have been held hostage by strangers that couldn't care less, by the people, like nobody stood up for the people who have been executed unjustly during the lockdowns. I mean, fortunately, there's a handful of people talking about it, but that's it. There should be millions talking about this, but maybe there's 100 that are really aware and following and sharing these crimes against humanity. So anyway, I just wanted to share, and I think we need to pay attention, look around. I don't know. I think it's important to connect with loved ones. It's good to connect with our like-minded peers. And I think it's good to maybe avoid situations where people have tools of aggression, and we're the government can swoop down and zap them. And I mean, I think the cell phone tower revenue freeze, I think they don't even need to have a helicopter swoop in now because they'll have the cell towers that can be made to zap people. And there's a movie clip that's going around where folks are I don't really know the context, but it's a cartoon, all these military people, they have all their weapons and there's all this tension. And then somebody says, activate it. And then the people start having seizures and vomiting and falling to the ground and just totally out of it. And then some people start beating up other people. And that's what that sounds like is predictive planning, you know? And just like, I can't believe that I'm even having this conversation or doing this video, and even contemplating that this happened, that apparently this happened in Rwanda. Who knows where else this happened? It seems like there's been infiltration of everything by Satanists. And so what's to stop them from doing that now? What's to stop them is Almighty Father God. You know, I mean, it's just like there's apparently, I mean, if this information is to be believed, there's these demons that have infiltrated positions that are supposed to be who the trusted agents of the public good are. And I guess like God has been shielding us, you know, if this is the case. And it seems like this has been the case for a while. And so I guess every day, every moment of peace that we have had is just a blessing from God, because it is clear there's demons running the hen house. And a lot of people are just really quiet and complacent and compliant. And I don't know what they're waiting for. I mean, I think like, I'm not saying people should necessarily, you know, be sign waving all the time, although I think sign waving is a good idea. But I think people should be, you know, meeting weekly and really being concerned, like having a, you know, like debriefing or, I mean, I don't know what the proper word, you know, like some tactical gathering or strategic community prepping or something like that. And I know all these words, the AI robots are probably going to be like, oh, but I think like if we had regular hurricanes in the area, you know, there's like a community, you know, it's your responsibility to prepare for a hurricane. Or if you're in California, you know, and you're in earthquake country, you know to kind of be prepared for an earthquake. Although, you know, when I lived there, I never was prepared for an earthquake. But so I think like it's, you know, we should be prepared like for what I mean, just observing what's going on. I mean, there's weird international events, weird current national events. You know, with this 2 years of this world crisis that's been going on, with the globalists that want to make sure we have nothing and tell us we'll be happy that we have nothing. And then, you know, when we know that there's a context of like mind control that's been used and that weird experiments have been deployed on different Americans for decades, causing tremendous suffering and death. Like, I don't think I'm exaggerating. I mean, there's just enough things across different fields and times and places, and there's a lot of validation that it seems like something's going on, and it would just benefit us to be prepared. And you know, just like when you're going camping or when you're going on a road trip, you bring some extra stuff. You know, you kind of have a map printed out, or you have your list or something like that, and maybe you don't have a map, maybe use your backup emergency supplies. But sometimes something does happen and you're glad you brought the nail clippers or something like that. And it just seems prudent to me that we should be aware that there's this new electromagnetic rollout and the globalists want us dead. They have implemented a technology and devices and who knows what else. And their time is short because Satan's time is short because Jesus is going to return soon. So that's why everything has been ramped up. And time seems to be going faster, like it's called a quickening. And it's because time is speeding up. Jesus is returning. I don't know if his soon return is going to be like in 20 years, 50 years, 2 years, 20 minutes. But it does seem like we're in an event. Like we're definitely in history. And I just really do not feel prepared. I know I keep on saying this. And, when I've read stories or read like biographies and stuff, people at the time, they seemed prepared for history. They didn't seem quite so blindsided. Like, I would like to be more sense of certainty. And maybe that's, the way I'm being, sharing information with people, whether they like it or not. And I guess that maybe the people that I'm kind of complaining that aren't doing anything or don't even seem to care, like maybe they're even more lost, like they're more blindsided than I am. Because I do feel really blindsided. Like we've had 2 years of this situation, and I still feel really like floaty and ungrounded. And I just don't really feel like I don't feel inspired or certain or solid, and I don't know what to do about it. So anyways, so I just am floundering around here. So God bless.